These are, in my opinion, the top 5 most useless items in Old School RuneScape. If you agree, or if you learned something new, or if there's another item you think is more useless than the ones I've mentioned here, please comment below. If you like the video, show it below and subscribe if you're new. Item number 5 is that which spawns on the ground in Morton as well as in Sleep, and that is smashed glass. Not to be confused with the often used quest item broken glass. Smashed glass is a item that you cannot sell on the Grand Exchange, though it is tradable to other players. But it might be worth more than 1 GP to some players if you're into collecting smashed glass, so all the power to you there. Smashed glass also appears on the ground when you throw holy water at a demon, so yeah, at least it's correct lore-wise. Let's move on to item number 4. Item number 4 is obtained by taking a flyer from Ali the Leaflet Dropper. He has hundreds of these flyers to give out, given to him by Ali Morrisane, and it advertises going to visit him at the Al Kharid marketplace. But you notice that the money off voucher is out of date. Seemingly useless, but let's go check it out. Now you could argue down in the comments that what I'm demonstrating here is the use of this item, but it made me cranky, and you'll see why. So it gets the number 4 spot. So you bring the voucher to Ali Morrisane. He says he had them printed to win over local traders, but they're all out of date. And he is blissfully ignorant of that. And despite you not even getting to look at his shop, he sells you a random piece of junk from his store for 10 GP. In this case, since he's the best salesman in the world, he gave me a tinderbox, which is actually valued at 1 GP in his store. So he's just charged me 10 times its actual value without me getting a choice in the matter. Another apparent use of this item is if you're in a free-to-play world, you can't actually access the store because it's a members-only store. However, in a free-to-play world, if you use the money off voucher on him, again, you go through the same infuriating dialogue that he's printed out-of-date vouchers, and again, he sells you a piece of junk for 10 GP, in this case a raw chicken, when in the store those things are valued at 1 GP as well. You also have the option though of looking through a members only store and seeing members items for purchase, though you are unable to purchase them. So seemingly a use, but it actively disadvantages you. In no mind would you ever go and carry out this use, therefore I'm deeming it as useless. If you disagree, let me know. To discuss item number 3, I went and participated in the fishing trawler minigame. Obviously a much loved activity by all, as you can see here. For item number 3, I'm referring to a potential reward that you can get from the fishing trawler minigame, and that is the Old Boot. The Old Boot is a untradeable, unwearable, single old boot that you can get from fishing trawler. You can get it from the random event mystery boxes, and you can get as a 1 in 50 drop from the Kraken boss. However, it is completely useless. You can't put it on, you can't combine them to make a pair of boots, you can't fashion it into any other kind of wearable boot. So literally just an item that would sit in your bank if you had it. I didn't have one on me, and I wasn't going to perform multiple games of fishing trawler in order to obtain one. So while this is more useless than the 2 items preceding it, I have a solution of how to make this item useful, or at least have a purpose in game. And this may be controversial, but simply add it to the collection log for the fishing trawler, or add it to the collection log for the cave kraken. I think this is a great solution, because now a seemingly useless drop is now something that, you know, gives you a nice collection log pop-up. How good? In a nice coincidence too though, to go with our smashed glass, I did get the broken glass as my reward from that fishing trawler run. Moving on to item 2, we take a trip to the Graveyard of Shadows in the wilderness, where we find on the ground a tile. This item released on the 13th of August 2001, the same time as the planks you also find on the ground nearby. Now while not tradable on the Grand Exchange, you can trade it with other players. However, the plank formed the foundation of the construction skill, where the tile was left by the wayside with literally no use whatsoever. I've given it the number 2 spot. It's perhaps the biggest example in Old School RuneScape of wasted potential. Think of all the construction we could do on the roofs of our houses. Think of the amount of customization in the bathrooms of our houses. There isn't even bathrooms in game. The tile could have been used for so many things, but alas, it is completely useless. Now for our number 1 spot, we are in Shiloh Village. People are likely familiar due to the presence of the Slayer Master, aka Duradel. If you climb up this ladder in the northeast part of Shiloh Village, there is actually a pub owned by Caleb Paramaya. This is called the Paramaya Inn and contains our most useless item in Old School Runescape. If you talk to Caleb, he says that he's a traveller himself and he runs this as a hostel with a dormitory upstairs for adventurers to stay. Seeing what he has for sale, he has the typical wine, beer, but you can also buy a dorm ticket for a night's rest. We pay 35 coins and we see we obtain the most useless item, in my opinion, in Old School Runescape, the Paramaya ticket. This Paramaya ticket is untradeable, you cannot sell it on the Grand Exchange, but you can only climb up the ladder in the Paramaya Inn if you have a Paramaya ticket in your inventory. Now in RuneScape Classic, in order to combat the use of bots and macroing, there was actually a fatigue mechanic, which once players reached 100% fatigue, they would not be able to train their skills any further, requiring the need to sleep and rest. The Paramaya Inn was one of the places that you could rest and restore your fatigue level. So while this system does not exist in Old School RuneScape, you can still stay in the Paramaya Inn essentially. The barman takes the ticket, you're allowed to go up to the dorms. This area is completely useless. Even the bookshelf doesn't contain anything interesting. It's simply a place to stand. This, in my opinion, is the most useless item in Old School RuneScape. So useless that if you examine the Paramaya ticket, Paramaya is spelt differently for the name of the inn than it is on the ticket itself. So even the design is useless. What do we all think of that? I'm keen to read your comments down below. Like the video if you enjoyed it, or if you want to see more top 5s or anything like that, or just weird opinions from me on Old School, let me know. Subscribe if you're new. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.